So it's our first book club in a month. It's our third book club back, and we're already late again.
Yep. But it kind
Oh,
of works
yeah.
out
The
because
entire schedule's off.
it
Yeah,
kind of
well, it
works
does kind of
out.
work out because the book we're going over this month, if you listened last month, you would know is Donny Cates' Guardians of the Galaxy 12 issue run. And it works out because tomorrow, I think both of us,
Today,
right?
technically.
We mean today, tech. Oh yeah, well,
Well,
well
for
today when
the
this comes out, but tomorrow
yeah.
for us recording right now, we're seeing volume 3.
Hmm.
So we got Guardians of the Galaxy fever over here in a hero story.
Basically,
Uh
yeah.
just me and Hunter this week. JD, we don't talk about JD. We're not going to
No.
talk about JD for this entire episode. Just we're just not going to talk about him, all right? Because he's off doing his own thing and something
Yeah.
happened, but we're not going to talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he probably won't even be here for the Guardians of the Galaxy
Yeah, because something
review.
we're just not going to talk about him.
Mhm.
Like maybe something happened off panel, maybe in a book that
Yeah.
we should have maybe seen. Maybe it gets explained like 7 issues in. Who
Yeah,
knows?
exactly. He has to tie into a recent event that's happening, so
Exactly. Exactly.
story's just off the rails. But yeah, we are here talking about Guardians of the Galaxy by Donny Cates, which is a 12 issue series that came out in
It's two arcs.
2019. Yeah, just
It's
two arcs.
Arc 1 is drawn by Geoff Shaw. Arc 2 is drawn by Corey Smith, and I want to say that they're both colored by the same dude, Marte Gracia. I want to say is his
Okay.
name.
Wait, his last name's the same as JD's.
No, no, no. It's like Gracias or something like that.
Uh,
Gracia,
let's see. So
something like
issue
that.
details,
They might have just done the
colors.
coloring for Shaw's part, but
David Curiel did the last arc for covers or colors.
okay. So two different colors.
Yeah.
But yeah, so two arcs, 12 issues. Donny Cates took over January in 2019. And I remember this because back in the day, I had a podcast called Big Who. And
Yeah, what
we
happened to that?
talked, yeah, well, who knows? I mean, we're not going to talk about it. No, but something, we talked about this issue when it came out. I remember us being like hyped, like over the moon for it because Donny Cates was a hot name. The Guardians of the Galaxy,
Hmm.
we were like going into the end game hype coming off Infinity War. And it just felt like
Oh
the kind of
yeah.
layup, like two it felt like the proper creative team for the proper book, when they like hit that and you're like, oh, that's perfect,
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
And the first
and it
cover
was
is
yeah,
this.
and the first cover is awesome, and it was coming off of
Yeah.
Infinity Wars, which I don't care for, but you do. But there was a lot of
Yeah.
potential stories they could have done. And I just remember reading that first issue and immediately being like, oh, this is awesome. Like this is the Guardians of the Galaxy that I want to
Hmm.
see.
Hmm.
And I think the first real takeaway for me, I don't know if this is the same takeaway for you, but is shit, there goes Star Lord. Is that this is not the movie team. This is not based on the
No,
movies. They're not. Donny Cates is not trying to do what
doesn't
James
care.
Gunn did. And
Yeah.
I listen. I love James Gunn did. I think James Gunn, his Guardians are the ones that's going to be remembered at the end of the day. But I think that like if you're writing the comic books, do the comic book stuff. Like the end of the first issue where we see this lineup and it's like, Moon Dragon and fucking Cosmic Ghost Rider and Beta
Ghost
Ray
Rider.
Bill. Like
Yeah.
that's so cool.
Yeah.
That's so good. Expanding the Guardians, making them like way bigger than they usually are. I that was the first thing that really came to me. I remember like when I first read that issue, that was like, oh yes, we're not doing the movie stuff right now.
And it's
You know,
refreshing because the previous run, which was the all
Duggan.
different Guardians of the Galaxy,
Yeah.
was
It's
the movie team
it's literally
exactly.
just the movie. It's not even
And
just like the movie team. It's like they're just doing the movie,
and
you
Groot was
know?
even baby Groot at
Yeah,
the
Baby
time
Groot. Yeah, they
for
fight
the
the
first time.
Collector. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was weird.
exactly.
And that's a good run. Like, that is a
It
good
is
book.
good.
But it is fun to see the Guardians do things, like be specific to the comic books,
Mhm.
because the Guardians of the Galaxy obviously are one of those brands that has kind of been defined by the movie. People think of the
It
Guardians of
has
the Galaxy, they think of that one outfit from
Chris
Star Lord,
Pratt.
Yeah, they think of Pratt, exactly. And I mean, that's not even necessarily a bad thing. It's just like, it's one of those things that is now fed back into the comics. So you read a Guardians of the Galaxy comic and they want you to basically remember the movie. But Donny Cates, like we said, he's not doing that. And I thought, yeah, like that was just so refreshing, At least at
Yeah,
the time, it was so refreshing.
he kind of took the idea of the Guardians of the Galaxy as if you can just make a team of different characters that just happen to be in space, who would you pick to guard the galaxy? He
Yeah, like
wasn't.
there's no
Gamora is not in
reason.
it.
Yeah, there's no
Drax isn't in it.
reason. Like the Guardians have become this family. and that's a big thing that's throughout this book is that they're a family. They've become a family post. The I mean, Abnett and Lanning definitely went into that, but it's really the James Gunn like kind of movie that forced these five characters into being this family. And
Hmm.
yeah, like we have so many more characters in the comic books that we could use as members of the Guardians. Like fucking Beta Ray Bill is such a great choice that like I wouldn't
Yeah.
have thought of initially. But you think about it and you go, oh, that makes like all the sense in the world. Of course, why would he not be in the Guardians of
Hmm.
the Galaxy? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even Donny Cates throws in his own creation with Cosmic Ghost Rider, and
It
I'm a
works.
little bit like, all right, Donny, you're going a little too, you're throwing too many Donny Cates isms in me because there's a lot of like I'm looking for Null or all this
Oh yeah,
nonsense.
they
It's
set
like
up King in
Donny
Black.
Cates will
Yeah.
like he'll set up his own stuff in his own universe, but it's at the same time it's really fun to see all these characters kind of converge into one
Hmm.
that you not necessarily wouldn't see before,
Yeah, it's
that's the fun
awesome,
of it.
and it's kind of disappointing that the current run happening right now is just the movie
Mhm.
team again. Like we're back to
Yeah,
including Nebula
I actually
now.
read that issue
So
finally.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
and it
on
was
Marvel
interesting.
Unlimited.
It's like we're doing, yeah, exactly. I know exactly what you mean because it's like there are way more creative things that they could do with the Guardians.
Hmm.
And it is unfortunate that they're just kind of sending them that we kind of stick with the same roster all
I understand if
the
you want to
time.
stick with some, but
Because
like I
there's like
yeah.
yeah, but there's the outliers are always some of the most fun ones on the teams, like Ben Grimm or Kitty Pryde or something
Mhm.
like that. You know what I mean? Like it's fun to have these outliers on the Guardians because the whole point of them is that they're a band of misfits. They don't have to be the same misfits though,
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
sure, Peter Quill and Rocket Raccoon, keep them. They're the heart of the team,
They're the only
right?
ones you have to
Throw
keep
anybody
really.
else on.
Even for Donny Cates, he starts as
Yeah,
one. The
exactly.
only
They're
main
Cap and Iron
members,
Man
yeah, the only main members are Star Lord and Groot,
is
and
Star
that's it.
Lord and Groot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and Groot is like this weird new Mohawk swearing
he's
version of Groot, which is
yeah.
fun.
Donny Cates took the idea that the movies were doing with a teenage Groot, but made him a lot more of a character.
He's like a punk. He's got like spiked hair
Yeah, he takes a
and
knife and he carves like
yeah, it's
himself.
bizarre. And there's little versions of him that'll come off his body and they say I am Stab, which is also
Yeah,
kind of weird.
yeah.
But
I
you
like
get
it
Donny
though.
Cates. Yeah, it's fun. And but I wanted to really go into what I think. I think Donny Cates writes the best Peter Quill. And I want to know if you agree with that. Because the way that Peter is portrayed in Donnie's book, where it's just like a lot of the times, again, post the James Gunn movie, Star Lord is just Chris Pratt,
Yeah, he
and
is.
even to
Yeah.
an extent that the Chris Pratt Star Lord isn't, because the Chris Pratt Star Lord is competent, but sometimes they'll Flanderize him to the point where he's just like tripping over his own shoelaces because he's so dumb. And
Hmm.
it's frustrating because like in the comics this was the guy that led like the annihilation, the
He's a
defense against the
captain.
annihilation
Yeah.
waves, like everyone in the universe trusts him, and then he regresses into the movie version. But this version of Star Lord, he's competent, he's a leader, he's strong-willed, he's like losing his confidence. He was just murdered by Gamora, so he's kind of finding a way to reel back from
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
There's a lot going on with him, and I just remember again reading it at the time and just being like, this is the exact way I want to see Star Lord in these books. You know,
Hmm.
he's struggling with a lot. My favorite part, I'm gonna keep putting him on here as long as he falls.
Yeah.
My favorite part of this book, at least Star Lord wise, is the part where he drunk calls Kitty Pryde, because it's just like it's one of those things where like Donny Cates just all like, what's he realistically gonna do? Like, what is this character realistically gonna do in this moment? He'll drunk call his ex fiance because he's sad, like, and I think that's
Yeah.
just something about that is so interesting. The character stuff is really good, and I just really, really like the way Donny Cates wrote Peter Quill. I thought
A
it was
lot of
awesome.
the characters, they're very different from what we usually see them as. Even Rocket doesn't show up till issue
Six
seven
or
or
seven, yeah,
six.
maybe.
Yeah, one of those
I
two
don't remember. I think it
out
was
of
seven actually.
12.
Yeah. And they
But
keep mentioning him. They're like, oh, we're not going to talk about Rocket. Rocket's over there.
yeah,
Something happened in between this run and the last one.
and all it was he got really sick.
Yeah. Well,
But
they actually go over his origin in this. So if you are going to see the movie,
It won't
you
be
can go
this
back. Yeah,
origin,
it
probably.
won't be this origin, but there's some kind of shared DNA between them. But basically, that his modifications from Half World are dying, so he's like kind of breaking apart. He's not even just becoming like a normal raccoon again. He's just dying.
Mhm.
So he doesn't want to see the Guardians. He doesn't want them to see them like that. And it's this whole kind of mystery through the first half of the book, which I guess we just spoiled, but whatever. Of like, where is he? What's he doing? And why did he leave? And it's interesting to see again, like Donny Cates has a really great voice for Rocky Raccoon. I would love to have seen what he would done with a longer kind of run on this book with Rocket, but yeah,
It's
as far as it goes, he has like a really interesting version of that character as well,
yeah, his version
with a really
is
fun Gundam suit at the end.
yeah, basically. He
Yeah.
doesn't want to be helped. Like he feels
Mhm.
almost guilt for being helped. Like he doesn't think he deserves it, or
Yeah,
he's
and
almost
especially
embarrassed by it.
where like the whole point of the team is to save the galaxy. He's like, I'm not going to waste your time. You have to help me. Just go say do superhero stuff. Like that's
Yeah,
how kind of how he views it,
but
which
in
is
a
which is really
rocket
cool.
way, so like
Yeah, but in a rocket way
angrily.
where he's sticking up the middle finger or whatever.
Yeah, like just go
Even though
away.
you did nothing wrong.
Yeah.
But that's it's part of what makes the character endearing, and I think that Donny Cates really kind of hit that on the nail on its head as far as
Mhm.
that goes. Like I thought it was interesting that it kind of ends at 12. I could never really find out why the book ended so early, because it was literally just 1 year of Donny Cates on
Oh yeah, you're right.
Guardians,
Yeah.
January to January, and then Al Ewing was on it. And I remember at the time being like, I like Al Ewing. I really love Al Ewing, but I want to see more Donny Cates Guardians. It is a shame that it's only 2 arcs, because if there's anything Donny Cates has proven over his tenure at Marvel is that he's really good with the cosmic stuff.
Yeah.
And a longer run where he could have like been Hickman on Avengers with Guardians of the Galaxy if he had stayed on that
It's
run.
true, yeah. Because
It
it
it,
kind
it
of
could have
rushes at
been.
the end too. So
Yeah, it just kind of wraps up, and it's a bit disappointing.
mhm.
Not like because it's bad, it's just like I want to see more, you know?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's two very, very good arcs. He changes a lot of characters, but even now, like looking back, Donny Cates, he tends to not stick around very long unless it's Venom.
Yeah, I've noticed that a lot. Yeah, he
Like his
doesn't
Hulk run
stick on books.
is 10 issues. His Thor is about 20, I
He's like
think.
25, right? Something like that.
Yeah, so that's pretty decent. But even his Doctor Strange is very short as well.
Yeah, I don't know what that's really about. I always wonder about that because, like we said, I think he would do really great on longer runs, but especially with Guardians, it would have been really cool to see what he could have done with more Guardians, because the first arc especially, where it's called what is it called, the final something,
Uh who will
final
stand?
judgment, final something like that, right? But it's about basically Thanos has been murdered by Gamora in Infinity Wars, and Eros, Thanos' brother,
Harry
Harry
Styles.
Styles,
Yeah.
he he calls every person in the cosmic Marvel universe to a meeting so that they can hear Thanos' last will. And his last will is basically he puts on a message where he says, "Hey everyone, you think I'm dead? Turns out I'm actually in someone's brain right now, and I'm not going to tell you who. And at
Yeah.
one point, I'm going to come out and I'm going to kill all of you." And they're just like, "Oh, for fuck's
It's
sake!" Like,
Among Us.
yeah, it's literally Among Us. One of us is the traitor,
Yeah.
and they're all just like, oh fuck, like, oh like, what do we do? Like, who is it? Who could it be? Like, how do we know? How do we stop them? Who can we
Mhm.
trust? All that good stuff. They think it's Gamora because they're like, that's the most obvious choice. And so their whole plot at the beginning is half of them are like Calark from the Shi'ar, the Gladiator. Love that
Mhm.
guy. Um, Nebula, Eros, a bunch of other goons. They're gonna go kill Gamora. Meanwhile, Peter has to collect the new Guardians of the Galaxy to stop them. And it's a little fun. It's a Civil War esque thing, and it's
Yeah.
you can't even see my hands. There we go. Civil War. They're kind of friction. They're fighting, and it's
And
kind of
this
fun.
for just one issue.
Yeah,
So
that's
just
yeah, exactly.
because at the
It's
end
and
of
that
the
that is
issue,
just the first issue. Yeah,
end of the issue, the black hole opens up and tons of the
half of them
characters
get
get
sucked in.
sucked in. Yeah.
Yeah,
And the only survivors is Beta Ray Bill throws his hammer out and he kind of creates like a chain and he's able to pull himself out along with like
Cosmic Ghost Rider, Moondragon, and
Phyla-Vell.
Phyla-Vell.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's it.
Yeah,
So
yeah, those five.
But
or,
we got one issue where Silver Surfer and like
the new
Nova and
team.
Adam Warlock were on the
Yeah, and
team.
you've read Silver Surfer Black?
Yeah,
Yes. Yeah, it ties in right with this, and that's so cool.
this is
It's like,
how Silver
yeah,
Surfer Black
Silver Surfer
starts.
gets sucked into a black hole at the beginning, and then Silver Surfer Black is like picks up from there, and he
Mhm.
goes and fights Null because again,
Donny
Null.
Cates.
Yeah, it's Donny. You forget that things are Donny Cates books
Yeah.
until he says Null. Um, it's yes, and that first arc again, maybe it's just the Geoff Shaw art as well because the art is awesome. Like
There's
it's
some
one of
cool
those.
stuff.
Oops, it's one of those things again where you kind of because I remember reading these in the issues like single issues, and then even buying the trades. It's just like the splash pages are so cool looking, like
Mhm.
it's just gladiators fighting Beta Ray Bill, and they're both trying to catch Gamora, who's fighting, whoever. It's just like big spectacle action,
It's
and it's
cool.
just
Yeah.
it's really awesome.
It's not
Yeah,
that's
like
not how good it'll show, but
mm,
yeah, even like the
yeah,
moment where Beta Ray Bill's just like dragging people out of the
yeah,
black
it's just
hole.
so cool. It's so cool. It's so many like fun ideas. Jeff
Yeah.
Shaw, I think the first book they did together was not Thor, Thanos Wins. And I'm pretty sure that I don't remember where I heard this from. I probably heard it from Donny Cates, but I think Donny Cates and him went to like college together. And then
Oh.
they made God Country. It was them two.
Okay.
It was
Yeah.
Donny Cates and Jeff Shaw. So it's another one of those cool things where it's like, oh, they're a duo, like I like seeing his art and his words. They really work well together. And I think this book might be I haven't read God Country, but as far as I have read it, I feel like this might be their best thing together.
Yeah. I
They
mean,
work really well together.
this is would you say this is the best Guardians run? Because I
See,
do.
okay, I here's what I was gonna ask you. For this, so I really like the if we could go through them all, right? So the Abnett and Lanning run is
Well, them all starting
good.
in like the modernization. Because in the
Yeah, we're not going to
90s
go
and
back to the
stuff,
Guardians
or
3000.
not,
It
or
was not,
the
the original
70s.
Guardians of the Galaxy was they took place in the year 3000, and it was Yondu and Charlie 27 and Martin X and all this.
Sylvester
And
Stallone.
yeah, Sylvester Stallone
It was those characters in
and Ving
volume
Rhames
2,
and
and
Miley
yeah.
Cyrus. Yeah, all the ones
Yeah,
that were like former friends of Yondu, those are the old Guardians of the Galaxy.
in the movies,
Um
yeah.
and they suck. Like and I don't think anybody really cares about them. Like nobody's really super nostalgic for them, which I think is kind of funny, you know?
Yeah, apparently it's just boring.
Yeah, I haven't really gone back. The only thing I know about that original Guardians 3000 run is that there's only one Marvel character who's alive at that point. Even it would takes place 1,000 years in the future,
Mhm.
and it's Doctor Doom, of course. So
Oh, okay.
like yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
obviously. Um but so the Abnett and Lanning run, which is where we get this version of the Guardians, where we get Rocket and Peter and Drax and Groot and Gamora
Gamora.
and Mantis and Adam Warlock and Nova, all of them, all the the best hits. Um, I like that run, but it is like you look at it now and it doesn't quite click. You know what I mean? Like it hadn't been perfected yet. Like
Well, it's
what the team
yeah.
could be.
Yeah. I mean,
It was
Peter is very edgy and he's like half cyborg, I guess.
Yeah, well,
Like he has like
Peter
a
is like
mechanical
straight
eye.
on leader. He's like, he's like the straight man almost, where everyone makes jokes around him, but he just kind of stares because they do this thing where they'll do like talking heads like it's The Office, and they'll
Mhm.
cut away from the fight. And Peter's always the one who's like, "We really tried to do the mission today," and then
Yeah,
someone
he's
else is
very
making a
generic.
joke. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's Star Lord. He's just like a commander, right?
Mhm.
And so they hadn't quite perfected it yet. But after Abnett and Lanning get off the book, and it's only like 25 issues too. It's really not that long either.
Well, it
Abnett
ties
and
into like
Lanning,
Annihilation Conquest
yeah,
and
and Thanos Imperative or whatever, right?
yeah, it ties into a few
Yeah.
different events.
Um, yeah, and
Secret
Secret
Invasion.
Invasion. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But then after that is the Bendis run, which is like it's so weird, right? Like it's before the movie, right? But I'm
Mhm.
pretty sure that Bendis and James Gunn or Bendis probably got like notes from Marvel of like what to do
He
with what they're
did.
gonna do in the movie
They
because
asked him actually. They said they asked apparently 4 writers, and Bendis was the one who took it, saying, "We need you guys to do a Guardians of the Galaxy book. This has to be the team, and you can
yeah,
add another character if you want, but
Iron
it
Man.
has to be yeah." And Bendis
Yeah,
chose Iron Man as the other member, and it
yeah.
has to be almost comedic.
And I think Bendis, I think he even went on record as saying he had never read a Guardians issue before he wrote for them.
Hmm.
And I think, by the time his run ended, he definitely had, because he's tying into stuff that happened in the previous run. But
Yeah.
it's like, it's this weird amalgam of like Bendis doing his best on Avengers in space. They're not quite the Guardians, They're the first volume of Bendis's Avengers, or Bendis's Avengers, Bendis's Guardians is called Volume 1 Space Avengers. So
Oh yeah.
they're not really trying to, sell you a different book. They're like, these guys are the Avengers, but they're in space. And
Hmm.
because we put Iron Man on the team, right?
Yeah, he's right on the
God
cover.
damn it. Yeah, but as that book goes along, he kind of, the movie had come out and they kind of get this weird synergy. Star Lord becomes Chris Pratt and whatnot. But then after the second Bendis run starts in the middle of, or the beginning of All New, All Different, where we get Ben Grimm on
2014.
the team, 2015.
Oh yeah.
Ben Grimm's on the team. Kitty Pryde is Star Lord. Groot, Drax, all the members,
Gamora.
and
Yeah.
it's, what do you think of that run?
It's not as good as it could be.
It's crazy though. It's so weird.
Yeah.
It's such a
Yeah.
weird run. They destroy Hala. I want to say they destroy the Kree homeworld like in
They
issue
do.
2.
Yeah.
Peter is king of Spartax. He's taken his father's throne.
Well,
It's a
yeah, he's
weird
king, which
book.
is why Kitty's Star Lord. But within
Mhm.
the one arc, he's back.
Yeah, it is a weird book.
Oh,
It's one of
Venom's
those.
on the team too. Agent Venom,
Oh yeah.
who
Yeah.
doesn't fit.
Flash Thompson is on the team
Yeah, he doesn't have a lot of
because he had a book
dialogue.
at the time called Venom Space Knight. Yeah, he had a book called Venom
Yeah,
Space Knight at the time. Um,
let's tie
and
that
yeah,
in.
that book is bizarre. Like, I don't even really go back and look at it because it's just like, it doesn't feel right. You know what I mean? It
Ben
just
Grimm's
doesn't feel
really
right.
good in it, but yeah.
Yeah, the thing is good, and it's because like the Fantastic Four didn't exist at the time, so he was, Ben and Johnny were both like going team to team trying to find something that would stick.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, I just think something about it is so weird, and it's not even like, I don't think the writing is super poor, the art is poor. It's
No, it's
just,
not
it
bad.
doesn't
It's
click,
just
you
yeah,
know?
it feels like they had no direction, and I think they
Yeah,
didn't.
especially that's peak Bendis writing like 15 books at once, so
Yeah, yeah.
it's only so many could get his attention. He's writing
Ties into
Miles
Civil
and
War
Iron Man and
Two.
Civil War 2 and
Yeah,
Guardians. Then we get
yeah.
the Jerry Duggan run, which I
It's
really
the
like.
all new, all different.
All new Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, give it
um
a chance. It's the movie
it's a
team,
good one.
but it's
It's a good
actually
one though.
good.
And it's funny. It is actually funny because Jerry Duggan is like a
Yeah.
good writer. Jerry Duggan knows what he's doing.
Hmm.
um and I really like that book.
And
Aaron
then
Cooter on art, it's good.
yeah, it is good. And there's a really good issue. It's just one story about Drax
Drax. Yeah.
on, yeah, the slave one. I
Hmm.
won't spoil it, but it's him going to a planet of slaves by himself to free them,
Hmm.
and things happen
Shenanigans
there.
ensues.
Yeah,
Drawn by Greg Smallwood. So
yeah, yeah.
that's how you get
It's one of the
read
best
it.
Guardians issues ever.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
yeah, it's just a Drax solo story, and it's
Well,
him
because
telling Gamora what happened on that
yeah,
planet.
at the beginning of Duggan's run, Drax is a pacifist and we don't know why. And that is the issue explaining why.
Mm-hmm. Like he
Um,
refuses to do violence,
mhm,
essentially.
which is what a pacifist is, yes.
Yeah, well,
um,
yeah. I'm just saying for Drax, it's
and then
yeah.
then we go into Infinity Countdown and Infinity Wars. Which, oh my god, just pissed me off at the time, dude. Like when it was coming out, I was just like, the book ended, Guardians of the Galaxy ends, and then it becomes Infinity Countdown. There's no more Guardians book, and we have to read Infinity Countdown because Wolverine is in it, right? Isn't Wolverine in it? I don't remember. I
Yeah,
haven't
he
read it in
is.
forever. Yeah,
Yeah,
Wolverine and Emma Frost and Turk Barrett and all these
Adam
characters become
Warlock,
really important.
Kang,
Yeah, all these characters become
Miss
really important
Marvel.
because there's a movie coming out called Avengers Infinity War, and we want to make a book that ties into that. So we're gonna we're gonna put big Infinity Wars on
Yeah,
covers, and hopefully millions of people will buy them. I know you like it, bro. It bothered me so much at the
I thought it'd
time.
be bad because you told me it'd be bad, but I read it and I'm like, I actually kind of like this. It's just a team.
It's the
Everyone,
Infinity Warps. I just thought that was the
That's
dumbest shit,
one
dude.
issue though.
I know, but like that was what they sold it on. There was variant covers, and they're like, buy the Arachnite issue, or whatever. Like,
Oh, it's Moon Knight
ugh,
and Spider-Man combined.
yeah.
Yeah, Doctor
If you've ever
Strange.
seen that picture on Instagram, I'm sure you have because everyone, every once in a while you'll see it like on your feed, like, oh, someone posted Arachnite, like a variant cover or something.
Yeah.
Or no, Soldier
Soldier
Supreme,
Supreme.
which
Yeah.
is Doctor Strange and Captain America. I guess because their
Yeah.
names are both Steven. So
Well,
he's
it's because they're
still Stephen
standing next to
Strange.
each other.
Yeah.
And,
And then there's like Kamala Kang,
yeah, which
which
is
that one's
Kamala
kind of
Khan
fun.
and
I like
Kang.
that one. I also like Emma Frost and Logan's, which is what, like,
I
oh
can't remember
god, I
the
don't
name of
remember.
that.
It's like Diamond or something like that, right? He's
Yeah, Diamond Claw, something like
Patch.
that.
It's like he's Patch's personality, but he's, yeah. Anyway, I
Mhm.
think that book sucks, and
But the
I
main
just
thing that happens in that book is Gamora stabs Peter to get an Infinity Stone, killing him.
well,
But
yeah,
then Doctor
Gamora turns heel.
Strange saves Peter's life, but it doesn't change the fact
Yeah,
that Peter
he
was,
died.
yeah, he died and he saw
Yeah,
that
that's
Gamora
where
was willing
this
to kill
trauma
him.
comes from.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like I trusted you,
that
you were my
and
family, and you just stabbed
after
me.
that run, we obviously go into this run, and then
Donny Cates.
the next run is the Al Ewing one. Well,
Which,
and the Donny Cates run, and then the next one is the Al Ewing one.
which is very
Which,
good.
because your question to preface all this was, is this the best Guardians run? I think it's the Al Ewing one. Me
Yeah,
personally,
that's fair. That's my second favorite.
I love Al Ewing, man. I know I keep talking about it. Like every time we bring him up on the podcast, I'm like, you should do Fantastic Four, but he should do Fantastic Four. Guardians of the Galaxy was like so good. I just like making them like a hero, like a superhero team that's like, helps people around the universe. He did the thing that we just mentioned we like, where he's throwing in all these different corners of the Marvel universe, and he's not like constricted with the movie stuff. So you get like Wiccan on the fucking team, which is
Yeah,
awesome, and
Hulkling.
Hulkling, and Doctor Doom is on the Guardians.
Yeah,
They're fighting fucking Dormammu, and Hercules is there. Like that shit is so cool. I love that stuff.
yeah. But
And
you
so
still
I
have
would
the
say that
movie
that's,
characters, but yeah,
yeah, well, yeah, like Peter and whatnot. But I'd say that that is my favorite Guardians run.
I think he writes the best Star Lord. The whole
Yeah,
arc of Peter.
Sun God, Star Lord. I that might be
Yeah,
my favorite Star Lord look. The jacket and the kind of hand tattoos and the rings.
yeah, yeah.
I think that suit is awesome. Have you played the game?
I have.
Yeah. Did you? That was the suit I used most. Like that was my go-to suit. The Star Lord
I
one,
oh
the
man,
Sun
yeah.
God one.
I'll
I
have to.
love that one.
I don't know if I found that one. I'll look it up here.
I love. It's so good. It's the one where, yeah, just look it up and then I can show it to the screen. But it is gorgeous. I love it so much. I think it's so cool, man. The jacket is cool. The boots are cool. The gloves, the rings are cool, and the hand tattoos are even kind of cool.
Yeah, it
Um,
is. I can find a
I
picture
think
of the
that is
game.
the one I kind of mained on the suit or in the game.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you use the original suit, like the one where
Oh, where the hair's just
the
really
red
tall.
gloves and
Is
the
this the one
whatnot
you're
from the
talking
original
about?
Guardians? Yeah, that
It's
one. I
kind of
love that suit. I
blurry.
think that suit is
Yeah.
awesome. That's the one I main. Yeah, but
I use
it's the one that comes in later in Al Ewing's run.
I use the classic look, like the Abnett look with the mask, which I hope we see in volume three.
Yeah, that's what I
We'll
meant.
see.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird that they haven't shown off his mask at all yet. He's
They've been
wearing the
hiding it.
classic Abnett suit.
Yeah.
Classic. We say classic. It's like 15 years old, but
But they're
it is
all
like
wearing that
the
suit.
first modern Guardian suit. And
Yeah,
yeah,
they're all wearing that suit, which is like Ewing's run because they all wear like uniforms
uniforms.
essentially.
Yeah, love it.
So,
So I wrote down a couple questions that I wanted to ask you.
oh, okay.
The MCU or whatnot. Not the MCU, the Guardians of the Galaxy, and certain questions about like how you feel about MCU Guardians whatnot.
Okay.
So my first question here, Hunter, and I'll answer as well because
Yeah, I
it's
was gonna
not.
say
This
you
is
should
yeah.
answer too.
Do you think the Guardians would have succeeded as a comic book, as a concept without James Gunn?
I think they can. They would have. I don't think Marvel would be willing to try without the movies,
Mm-hmm.
but I do think they wouldn't be like the Eternals where they try and they fail, they
Well,
try and
yeah,
they fail.
I just think like I don't want to give James Gunn so much credit because he obviously didn't invent the characters, but his version of them is the one that everyone is remembering, the one that like the comic
Yeah,
books have now embraced. I think he's the one who perfected it. And I think
I
without
agree.
James Gunn having made that movie, without that movie, we I mean, not only would we not be getting Guardians comics at all today, but like if we were, we they wouldn't be as good as they are.
Exactly.
Like a lot of that is built off the back of that movie. Like it's almost like how back in the day when the Superman movie came out in 1978, it's like, yeah, Superman existed, but we basically just kind of rewrote the book here, like the
Yeah.
crystals and
Oh
all this,
yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like the characters existed, sure, but we kind of perfected it here.
Okay, I think the Guardians would definitely be like successful if Marvel was willing to try, but nowhere near as big as they are
Well,
right
that's
now.
exactly what I think about is like you think I don't know about you, but I go outside and I see so many like kids bags like when I go to work or something like that, and like the kids backpack section, it's just like Rocket Raccoon is on it, and there's
Yeah.
more backpacks with Star-Lord on them than there are like Batman.
Mhm.
It's crazy.
And Volume 3 is gonna
It's
make
almost it's
a
insane. That
ton of
blows my
money.
fucking mind.
Yeah. They become
Hopefully,
household
hopefully,
Marvel names
hopefully.
essentially. Like they
Well,
are
that's
well
exactly it.
known
Is like
by
Rocket
everybody.
Raccoon. Like yeah, my mom likes Rocket Raccoon, which is crazy because my mom doesn't even like Superman. My mom
Ooh.
doesn't give a shit about these things.
Yeah.
It's like she likes the raccoon though.
Yeah.
It's he's like that's exactly how deep it's gone. It's like more people had an emotional attachment to Yondu, and they cried when he died, and that
Mhm.
like that moment resonates with people more than like the death of Superman and like
I would
BVS.
go
You know what I mean?
I
It's
would go as
crazy.
far as saying that the Guardians are more well known than Nightwing, just because of the movies.
Oof. Like you ask more people who do they know, Star Lord
Yeah,
or
you
Nightwing
travel the world and
or
yeah,
Rocket Wreck? Yeah, yeah. I'm not gonna
well,
argue with
Star
that.
Lord or Nightwing. I think
Yeah,
more
at
people
least
would.
mainstream. Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm not gonna argue with. I think that might be true.
I think that
If
it
JD
helps
was
that
here, he would
it's a
argue it,
movie.
but I think that might be true.
Yeah, yeah, and that's only within the past decade, really.
Nine
Like,
years, yeah.
ask anyone 10 years ago, and no, it'd
Well,
be
that's
Nightwing.
exactly it. Is like they're household names, and like people go on about how the Avengers were B-listers, but the Guardians were D-listers when that
Hmm.
movie was coming out.
Hmm.
That was a risk,
And that
and
doesn't
it's a
always
risk
work.
I'm very happy they took. No, it does
'Cause
not
I
always
would
work.
say Eternals were also D-listers,
D-list,
and
yeah.
I don't think it worked.
Yeah,
Like,
it doesn't. Yeah, and it's not like a formula. Next, now they think they can do any character and it'll be successful because of Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, I almost think Guardians might have broke Hollywood because it proved that you can make a movie off anything.
hmm.
And think about how every movie since Guardians has had like some killer soundtrack and had them quipping all the time. Like, I think that movie really changed more than we kind of recognize just initially,
Yeah.
but every movie since Guardians of the Galaxy has tried to be Guardians of the Galaxy. Every like big tentpole blockbuster, especially Marvel movies, every
Hmm.
Marvel movie since Guardian has just been since Guardians of the Galaxy has just been Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah,
Just with like
essentially.
Spider-Man or with Captain Marvel or whatever. That's what they're
Yeah,
going
yeah.
for. It's like
It's the
that was
vibe
the
that was set.
formula.
Yeah, exactly. And it works for the most
Yeah.
part.
So here's another question though. Do you prefer them as outlaws or heroes?
Oh God. I really like them as heroes in Ewing's run,
Mhm.
Ewing's run, but the current run, they're outlaws.
Yeah, they're
I kind of
cowboys.
like
Oh,
that too.
yeah, the aesthetic of the cowboy Star Lord is unbeatable.
I think I
That thing is the
prefer
whew, that is a cool look.
outlaws, but
Mhm.
I want them to be heroes right now, if that makes sense.
Oh, you need them to be heroes right now. Yeah,
Well, I mean,
in
like
this
you
world.
can't be outlaws forever, and for the movies and stuff,
Yeah,
they're heroes now.
they're heroes now. Yeah, I love that. That's so cool. It's especially like we
Yeah,
both just rewatch both movies and seeing
yeah,
their journey where Peter's like, I'm just gonna sell this to the highest bidder. I don't care. And now he's like, he's a hero. Like he's like the Star
yeah.
Lord or whatever.
He's
A
known.
legend, I
Yeah,
guess. Yeah, that's
yeah.
cool. I love that. That's yeah.
Hmm.
Uh, Another question: is the MCU synergy too much?
Yeah,
I think it's like they've. Do you think it is too much? I think that the second that they put the Star Lord costume from the movies into the comic books, it was too much because that
yeah.
costume is not better than what they had.
No,
You
no,
know,
it's not even a
the
costume. It's
trench, yeah,
just
the
yeah.
trench coat and the t-shirt
You
and the
can just
mask.
see
The
someone wearing
new
that.
modern Star Lord design. What do you think of the mask? Which one do you think is better? Do you think it's The modern one, like the Chris Pratt one, or is it the Abnett Lanning one,
Let me.
which is weird, like
Oh, I
kind of more
prefer. I
pointy
actually
nose. It's this one.
I prefer that one. I like
Yeah,
how it's also a helmet.
yeah. The helmet's fun.
Like
The
I don't mind the movie one, but I do like that one a lot. It seems more like a uniform. I don't know he's
yeah,
Star
yeah,
Lord. He's
exactly.
not
Because he's
like.
a yeah. I like the new one in the new movie, which is obviously just this,
Well, we'll
but
see. Yeah,
we'll see if it has the helmet. Hopefully.
yeah. By the time
Um.
this is out, we'll be getting ready to see it.
Yeah. Um. Last question.
Yeah.
What's the best song on either Awesome Mix?
Am I doing one per
No, 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 no. Just the best song across those two movies.
or
It can be. It doesn't even necessarily
okay.
need to be your favorite one. It could be your favorite like song in the moment. Like you know what I mean.
I would say volume two, and
Is it the
it's
chain?
no, it's a oh that is
Ooh.
I would say it's Brandy because it's actually like used as a plot almost.
Yeah, yeah. He uses it to like gaslight Peter.
Yeah, he
It's
manipulates Peter
crazy.
by
Yeah, that's
saying
so
the
good.
lyrics. And it's like
Uh,
it's the opening song, but it's brought up throughout the whole movie pretty much. So
exactly. Yeah,
it's
it's so
used.
good.
It's the only song that's used like it has a purpose
Well, they
in a
all
way.
have a
So
purpose, but like it's used by the
yeah,
characters where they're just
the characters
like
pointed out.
he's using it to manipulate Peter. It's the first
Well,
time we've seen someone do that.
yeah, the chain when that plays, it's awesome, but you don't see Peter like put in headphones or anything because his
Yeah.
Walkman's broken by then. It just plays,
Well, the
but
chain, what I like about the chain is that the first time it plays, it's like it's when they're separating, right? So it's like I don't remember
oh
where I heard this. I didn't come
yeah,
up with
yeah,
this,
you're
but it's
right.
like the first time it plays, they're walking away from each other, and it's almost and the song chain is like, you will never break the chain. But in that moment, it's like, oh my God, are they not friends anymore? What's gonna happen? But then later, when it plays again, it's non-diegetic, so there's no like it's the first time that we hear the music and the characters in the movie aren't listening to it.
Yeah.
It proves that he picked them over ego, so the chain will never break. Like I think that's a
That
cool
is
little
okay, that is a good point.
yeah.
Yeah. I'll stick with Brandy,
But
but
I think
yeah.
it's ain't no mountain high enough. You remember when Peter reads the letter from his mom, he puts in the Awesome Mix Volume 2 and he turns the thing up, he just kind of stares at it and there's like tears welling in his eyes.
Yeah.
And then Gamora comes
She
over and
walks in, yeah.
dude, that is like the feeling that gives me, bro. Oh my God. You know what I mean? That is
Yeah,
like a
I get
peak
it.
moment
I
for
do
me.
get
Oh,
it. Yeah.
that is so
Especially after
good.
rewatching these movies, like they
Yeah, they're
really knew
just
what they
the
were
fucking
doing.
best. They're just so
Even
good.
even just the regular soundtrack, like we were talking earlier, how
Yeah,
when
yeah.
Peter holds the Power Stone and take my hand is
I think
like
it's Tyler
it's
Bate, I want
I've just referred to it
to
as
say
like the
is the was
Guardians of
the
the
score. Was doing the
Galaxy.
score?
Yeah, he's not doing it for Volume 3, unfortunately.
No, the guy for Volume 3, I think, is the dude that did the Suicide Squad. But since it's still James Gunn, I'm going to assume that they're going to keep the Guardians motif. We don't know yet, but I'm assuming
Yeah.
that they're going to keep that because like they've had it for two movies now.
Yeah,
I hope
exactly.
they don't change it.
Yeah. It's like
Yeah,
you hear the Avengers theme in every Avengers movie.
yeah, exactly. And they've
So,
built up the Guardians theme. I like
mhm.
it. Well, obviously, like the Guardians are now more synonymous with the soundtrack than like their actual music, but
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, like the most iconic is probably "Come and Get Your Love," right? Like that first
Probably
scene
is that's
when he
in
walks
volume
in.
3, I think, as well.
I I don't know if this is a spoiler, but I just remember reading the list of like the songs, and that is at the very bottom. So I don't know if that plays at the end of the movie,
Yeah.
and we're looking back and we're all crying in the fucking theater, or what,
Or it
or if
might
it's
just
like
be
over the
like the last
credits.
song in the credits.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know, but Jesus, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? And they've got us to the point like these movies, and especially as comics feed into our love of these movies, it's like to the point where we're really dreading saying goodbye to the raccoon. You know,
And a tree even.
it
Yeah.
feels like Endgame almost. It feels like a mini Endgame, where and that's like I can't wait to say goodbye to Captain America and Iron Man. In this one, it's like I can't wait to say goodbye to Rocket Raccoon and Groot and Drax. But they did
Yeah.
that. They put in the work and they did that, and I think that's it's
And
awesome.
maybe more too. Maybe we'll say goodbye to Gamora, and I
Yeah,
doubt Star
Gamora.
Lord,
Yeah,
but we'll
what's her
see.
name? Zoe Saldana said she's done, so we'll
Yeah,
probably say goodbye to her. It's yeah,
we'll
it's
see. We'll see what
gonna be a
happens.
brutal watch.
Yeah,
Oh,
we'll be
jeez.
talking about it.
Yeah.
Saturday is when our podcast comes out, talking about that. So A
Yeah,
lot of people listening to this might have already seen Volume 3.
probably, and they're just seeing us be like, "I'm not ready for it," and
Yeah,
yeah,
be like, oh man, we're saying goodbye to all these characters, which maybe we aren't, but
yeah. Imagine they all
we don't know.
live. That's the twist. That'd be
Yeah, we'll
funny.
see.
Yeah,
We'll
I
see.
don't think so. Yeah,
Yeah. But yeah, I guess that's our book club.
yeah. Do we
Next
do
month.
like you always want to give it like out of a 10, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. This
Uh,
run, yeah. I know you
gosh,
don't rate things,
8.
but
Let's give it an 8
I give it a
or a 9
nine.
even.
I
I
give
would
it a
even give it a
nine.
9. I think it's a great run.
It is one
Next
of the
month.
best.
So we're gonna pull double duty next month. We're gonna
Even
do
though we're late.
Spider. Yeah, we're gonna do Spider-Man. Brian Michael Bendis, Sarah Pichelli. I think it's 2012. I want to say right. 5 issues. Peter Parker meets Miles Morales for the first time.
Mhm.
Love that book. My God, that
It's
book is fun.
really
I
good.
can't wait to talk. It's also
Yeah.
like if you want to read it for the podcast, just take away like 30 minutes out of your day maybe, and you'll be done because it's like the quickest read of a comic book you could ever have.
It's a lot of fights, but
Yeah.
it's like really well done.
But it's
I guess
incredible.
for context, all you really need to know is
Peter
if you've seen
Parker.
Spider-Verse,
Yeah.
Miles Morales in his universe, Peter Parker's dead, and he's been Spider-Man for maybe like 6 months at this point. He's still pretty new.
In Spider-Man, I feel like he's even been Spider-Man. He's been Spider-Man for like two months, maybe. Like I feel
Yeah,
like
he's
maybe
very new.
he's green as fuck. Yeah.
He doesn't even have web shooters
He
yet.
does not, yeah, he doesn't even have web shooters, which is yeah.
He just got his own suit. And
Yeah.
so the Peter Parker that we all know from 616 travels to Miles's universe and needs
On
to find
accident.
his way back.
But yeah, it's really cool.
That's the context.
The second book that we're gonna do is a very niche book, a book nobody's ever heard of, certainly that we've never read or even talked about, called Flashpoint.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's by this guy, Geoff Johns. I think the art might be some weirdo like Andy Kubert or something like that.
Yeah.
And I have no idea what this book is about. I've never even heard of it. So do you know?
Yeah, unfortunately. I read it and I didn't like it.
Oh,
So,
okay. So I can't wait to read it for next month.
but I read it like a long time ago. I
Yeah,
think I've seen the
Flashpoint.
animated movie more.
when I first read Flashpoint, it was like I went to Barnes and Noble and I might have bought something else, and then it comes with like 3 free Kindle books or something like that.
Okay.
And I chose Flashpoint.
Perfect.
It might have been 2 free Kindle books, but I chose Flashpoint and I chose Watchmen. Which is funny because now we know that those 2 books tie into each other somehow.
Yeah.
But at the time I was just like
you probably
imagine the difference between those 2 books is insane.
they're both
like
highly
14.
praised. Like
Yeah, and
they
both
both have
highly
a big
read
fan.
and bought. But
Yeah,
so we're gonna do that because there's a Flash movie. Allegedly, there's a Flash movie coming out next month, but I still don't really believe that it's gonna come out.
Yeah,
because we've heard about it for so long.
Time. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I haven't read Flashpoint in years, so I'm gonna be rereading it. I read Spider-Man last year, so I don't know if I'll reread it. I might flip through it, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And JD will probably be with us then.
Yeah.
And maybe Harper
we'll finally
be
talking about him again.
Yeah.
We'll finally be talking about JD again.
Hopefully, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah,
and
we'll
maybe
see.
Harper as well. We'll see, because we're doing 2, so we'll try to get Spider-Man out June 1st. And then
because the movie comes out June 2nd. So
yeah. And then Flashpoint we'll do right after, probably before the Flash movie, and that's like 2 weeks into June, so it'll happen. We'll figure it out.
Hopefully.
Yeah. But yeah, thanks for listening and enjoy Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
It's a good book.
Yeah.